What the heck? You missed it, didn't you? Okay, I'll do it again. Welcome, everyone, to Friday Night PJs and Crime. I am your host, Jill. And I practiced. Oh my goodness. Hello, Heather. How is everyone tonight? I see that Rosie is here bright and early. Hello, Sue. Hi, Denny. Joan, Diamond Girl is here. Jeannie T, good to see you. Alicia B is here. Knitting Artisan, you made it. Yay. You better, girl. You started the whole Friday night and crime thing. I mean, I started it, but with the PJs. I do have my PJs on, y'all. See, it's got sloths, of course. Hello, Lorna. Hey, Heather. Heather's here. Good to see you, Heather. Haven't seen you in a while. Awesome. Good for you. Good. I'm glad you're here. Holly's here. How's things down under? Karen Grand Prix. Good to see you. Debbie Marchone. Oh my goodness. I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, there's my Carrie. Yay. Oh, and we got a super sticker. We got a super sticker. Hold on. She wants a little sloth. How are you tonight, hon? That's my daughter, Carrie. I love you. Hello, Sylvia. How are you tonight? Thank you so much, Holly. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hello, Kat. No, my pajamas don't have murder sloths. Not on my pajamas. I need to find something that's like that, though. Wouldn't that be fun? Oh my gosh. Oh, I bet you do. I bet you do. I don't have cooler weather here, but I'll bet you do. Hey, Trucker Steve is in the house. I have to do that. It's a trucker thing. Or it used to be anyway. I know yeah, I know. I know at least something she's going to be doing soon. I hope that she's going to be off for a couple days. I do. It has really been a good hit. Yep, we got the whole ensemble. We do. All right. Are you guys ready for this? Are you ready? Yeah. Let's share my screen and show you how the blanket is looking. There it is. I am almost done with this bit here, and then we'll be going into that bit with the pink, and I'll be able to change colors again. I'm kind of thinking about going back. I have another little piece of this is what I just finished a cowl with, and y'all know I finished it with the purple. So I'm thinking I'll be putting these two in there next. Hello, Sharon. Good to see you. Hello, Frozen. Hello, Bree. Good to see you all. Julie M is. Oh, is he? Is that tonight? Julie M says that Miguel, who is Who Knows here on YouTube, is auctioning his red, white, and blue Afghan tonight. Well, that's awesome. Hello, Divergent. Good to see you. So tonight's case is something that I have followed for a very long time, probably since I very first watched Forensic Files, and I also felt very close to this case because I myself am a hairstylist, have been for over 35 years. I still have my license and it is inactive. So when I retired, I made my license. Instead of letting it go, I just made it inactive. So I technically could still go back to work. All I'd have to do is get the CE hours. So, okay. This is the case of Dana Satterfield. Dana lived in the town of Roebuck in South Carolina. And y'all be kind of seeing my notes creep in over here because I have to get them close enough where I can see them. Yeah, nobody likes to have their CE hours. It's just kind of boring, isn't it? I do too. I love how the colors are going. Hello, Jean. Good to see you. Okay, Denny. And just so you guys know, once I get started on my story, if you're new to Friday night Stitch and Crime, I speak for a little while about the case, and then I will come back to the chat and I will answer questions or check out any comments. If you have any questions, you can put it in there, and moderators, if they know the answer, will try to answer it for you. Now, Dana, at the time that this happened, she was 27 years old. She had 2 children, and I had to do a little bit of digging to find the this a little bit closer for you. I had to dig a little farther to find the names and the ages of her children at the time this happened, because her daughter, who was the oldest of her 2 children, has been in the news since. But was not able to find anything about her younger child, and his name was Brandon, and he was 6 years old at the time that this happened. Now, Dana was married to Mike Satterfield, but they were separated at the time. They were having marital problems at the time. Hey, Chels. Hey, Rose. Dana had been a hairdresser for 7 years when she was killed. And the place where she was working was a trailer that she had set up as a shop. And it had a tanning booth, and it had a little laundry and bathroom area, and then the main area. And she had been there for 3 years. And I did try to look up where this was located. And at the time, it was located kind of to the side and a little behind a liquor store that was called it's called Roebuck ABC. And that building is still there. Now, knitting artisan Cindy, she sent me a video from YouTube, but only the first part of that video really said a whole lot. He went into the case and stuff, but I did decide not to use that, but I did look at it. So that is the initial setup for where it was, and this was in Spartanburg County, just so you guys know the county where it was. Now, I do have a question for you guys. Okay. Floozie sisters and brother. Yes. I like that. Yeah, Chelsea's out getting groceries. Let me see if I missed anything. I know you don't want to cook, I'm sure. Okay. Yes, always. You guys, again, I don't like to put anything in the Facebook group about the crime stuff, but if you want to send me anything, you can send it to my email, which is fiberflooziecrafts@gmail.com. Let me put that in there for you. It will come up periodically through Nightbot. Now, the question I have for you guys is prior to COVID, because I know things have definitely changed since COVID, but before COVID, did you all go to the beauty salon and go get your hair done or the barber shop? I'm just wondering how many of you did that. I mean, I'm sure some of you probably have cut your own hair or your families cut your hair, but how many of you actually went out and went to beauty salons or barber shops? Put that in the chat for me, please, if you would. Hello, there's Terry. He comes in as Chris, that he has an alternate account that he uses, but that is Terry. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here tonight. Awesome. Hi, Karen B. Good to see you. Patricia's here. Good to see you. Sylvia cuts her own hair. Awesome. Yeah, so you wait a really long time for you go and you rarely go. Wind up putting it in a ponytail. Wow, look at all the people who cut their hair. Well, that's neat. It's neat to see your answers here. I would have thought more people would have gone. Oh, it's too expensive. I see. Yeah, it's probably even more so now. Okay, that was just a curiosity question for me, you guys. Now, this case did resonate with me, of course, because of having been a hairdresser. And part of it was because I had always, from the time that I got my beauty license, as they say, uh, in Texas, they call it an operator's license. I always wanted my own shop, which I did not get until I moved here and married Mr. Fiber. Then I was able to get my own place. And it was like a dream come true for me to get my own salon. And so this case resonated with me because I know that listening to several things about Dana and about her life and what she wanted and everything, it really resonated with me. She had two little kids, and I have two kids, and um, I don't know, just really, really, I could really relate to it. Now, her shop had a tanning booth. So I don't know if any of it, if you know, there's a couple different styles of tanning booths. And I believe from from the way that her shop was set up, that it was one of those that you stand up in it. And then she had her main area, and she had a public restroom, which also had was a common area with a laundry. So it was like a restroom and laundry. So of course, it was like all kind of together. And I do have a video to show you guys. So let me over here. We're going to take that down. Hold on just a moment and I will. That was old Serbs there. That is not the one I wanted. Give me a minute, you guys. That's the one. Now, let me see if I can get it to play over here. There it goes. Now, this video does not have any sound, and I will tell you the reason that it does not have sound is because there are certain things when I find it that I'm not completely sure that I won't get a copyright for. So please bear with me on this. I just want to show you some things, and I'm not trying to be deceitful or anything like that. It's just me being cautious. So now let me show you what I've got over here. So this is at the time that this happened. This is, or probably before, because this is Ashley and Dana and Dana's husband, Mike, Ashley's father. And this is before the second child was born, is what I think. So there's a picture. He's a very big man. That's Dana. One of her pictures. Got the 80s hair. 80s, 90s. This is what it looked like outside of her trailer that night. Now that right there, that is actually what a part of the crime scene. That is an example of what of a vehicle, what a vehicle looked like. That was a friend of hers. This is the outside, the front porch of that trailer. This is the inside of it. This is the actual inside of her salon. That's looking back out the other way in the hallway. Those are her shoes. That's her daughter, Ashley. Okay, that gives you a little bit of an insight into what Dana looked like with the family, all of that. So gives you a little better idea about what I'm talking about. It's very, very much like most of the little salons that I have seen, Karen. Very much like that. It really hit home with me seeing those pictures, even, you know. My little building here would have been very much like that. Okay, just so you guys know, very much like that. Yes, it was on forensic files. Um, the case was season 12, episode 24, I believe. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Yes, she did work alone. She had nobody else in there. It was just, what I used to call myself, a one-man band. Okay. So, the first witness in this case, I got my one of my coasters that Alicia sent me. It says, "Don't hurry, be happy." Yeah, so some of you are remembering the story now that you've seen some of the pictures and stuff. That's good. You'll have a reference for the rest. So the first witness in this was a woman. Now, some accounts call her Shirley, and other accounts have called her Diana Harris. Not really sure if either of those names is actually her name. But earlier in the day, she had sold Dana some cleaning fluid. So she was someone who was selling stuff, and she was walking from business to business and selling cleaning fluids. And she had sold some to Dana, and she had walked by and she'd seen Dana cleaning up and had waved to her and said hello and went on her way. And then she had come back and was standing fairly close to the front of the salon when she heard noises coming from inside the salon. Now, the day that this happened was July 31st of 1995. Okay. July 31st, 1995. So, because she heard these noises, she went up to the door of of the salon. She went up those little steps and she kind of knocked on the door, but nobody came, and she didn't know what else to do. So um, she she was standing back down in front, and she saw a man come out of the window and look right at her. So she was only a few feet away from him. Okay, so I don't know, maybe 30 feet away from him, and well enough that she could leave a description of him. She calls 911 and she reports that there had been a robbery, because she had no idea that Dana had been murdered. She just thought it was a robbery. So that's what she reported when she called 911. She gave a description of a white male, 20 to 30 years old, 5'5" to 5'7", about 170 pounds, wearing blue jeans and a gray t-shirt. And they came up with a composite for this guy and everything. When the police arrive at the salon to investigate, they go in and everything looks kind of a mess. Her purse is there, you know. They can't really see that it looks like a robbery, and they keep going and they find her laying back there uh, in front of her washer and dryer. She was naked from the waist down. She was beaten, strangled, raped, and she was hung by a strap from a duffel bag, and it was hung on her hot water heater in that room. And she had a lot of defensive wounds. She fought really hard. So even though this man was seen coming out, they tried to investigate, but they had no real leads to find him. Nobody came forward. Nothing really was done. They began to try to investigate people who were close to her, and that led them to bring her husband, Mike Satterfield, in for questioning. Now, they thought he had something to do with it, because when they got there, forensic stuff back, they thought that they had found his, and they did. They found a fingerprint of his on the hot water heater above where Dana was found strangled. And so they thought, well, it must have been him. Well, he did, just like Mr. Fiber, did all of the work on her shop for her. So anything she needed, he had installed, not very long before that, he had installed that hot water heater. And come to find out that he was actually about 20 miles away picking up their children at the time that she was killed. So he was cleared as far as being a suspect. But of course they thought it might be him because he was, estranged. They were estranged. The other thing was there was no way he was going to fit coming through that window. No way. I've said here, hold on, you guys. I've told myself I have another video for you, so let me take a look. I do. Now, this is unrelated, but there's a good reason why they might have thought that her husband did this, because unrelated to this case, I found this one. And this is the husband, Paul Michael Satterfield, 35. Now, this was December of 1997 is when this report came out. And this was on Go Upstate, which is the newspaper for there in Spartanburg County. He was accused of pushing and grabbing Deborah Shetley, 40, of Cannon Point Apartments. Shetley was assigned warrants against Satterfield, accusing him of trespassing after she told him not to return and of damaging her exercise equipment. Police reports state that the pair argued about 4:30 p.m. at Shetley's residence. They had lived together for about 4 months and had broke up. Shetley told police in the report that she asked Satterfield to stay away, but he returned. She said he pushed her, grabbed her arm when she tried to call 911. Shetley and Satterfield damaged exercise equipment. He returned before the fight by throwing it on the sidewalk. He was refused a warrant when he tried to have Shetley arrested for assault. The police stated Satterfield sustained an eye injury when Shetley hit him with a telephone. Now, the cordless phones we had back then would definitely have done some damage. He was booked at Spartanburg. Come on. Yes, he was aggressive. He was booked at Spartanburg County Detention Center and released on a $2,500 signed bond. He was the husband of Dana Satterfield, who was murdered in August, and Satterfield was found dead in her beauty shop in Roebuck. And at that time, of course, nobody had been charged with the murder. So he did have some bad behavior, okay? So it was a good reason why the police might have thought that he had something to do with it. Hello, how you doing, Cheryl? Yeah. However, there were some clips of him later on, like with the kids and with at the funeral. There was one with him with the son, and he was just so sad, and he wouldn't even let them talk about things in front of the kids because he didn't want the kids to be hurt. I really think, some people tend to spiral a little bit after stuff happens. Yep. I really think that he probably has an issue. Okay, now, there we go. Now, the second witness, this is very interesting about this case that I found interesting. The second witness was someone named, the best I could find was her name was Kim, and that she had reported seeing a vehicle that sped away from this area on the night that it happened. And the vehicle that she described was the vehicle that she described was a blue and white Bronco. A canvass was done of the area, and investigators came up with a blue and white Bronco that belonged to a woman who had a son, and the boy was 17 years old. He was a high school student, and his name was Jonathan Vick. And they did not have enough evidence on to actually have any idea that this vehicle was the actual vehicle or anything like that. However, there was a huge thing that happened with it. Everybody in town was on alert for the blue and white Bronco. Okay. So everywhere she went with that vehicle and everywhere he went with that vehicle, the the people kept saying and calling it in. This is the vehicle. We saw the vehicle. So she puts a poster in the back of this so that those people who were traveling behind her would see the poster in the back window saying, "This is not the vehicle." Now, these are not the exact words, but this is not the vehicle that was involved with the hairdresser murder, da 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 da, telling people to back off and not call in every 5 minutes. This becomes very interesting later. So hang on to that information. Now, they actually brought, because of this, they did actually bring Jonathan Vick in and question him about where he was, yada yada. And they wanted to take his DNA at that time. Well, the mother would not allow them because he was 17 years old. She would not allow them to take his DNA. So without having anything else to go on, they let him go. And this case went cold for 10 years. Yeah, dun, 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 dun. Exactly, Sylvia. I know Broncos were, yeah, 80s, 90s Broncos were everywhere. Absolutely. So I have another question for you guys. How many of you, now I could not find a book on this case. If you guys know of one on this case, could you please email me the title and author, and I would like to see it. But what I'm wondering is how many of you read crime books? If you would put it in the chat, how many of you read crime books? True crime or any kind of crime books? Karen said they had a green and white one. Yeah, he Young and Dumb. Yeah, a lot of that too. Diamond Girl does. Uh-huh. Patricia. So this was, for a long time, this was a cold case. And 10 years. So now we're going to jump forward to 2005. In 2005, Dana's daughter, Ashley, is actually 18 years old, driving, takes her vehicle to an auto repair place to get an oil change. It's one of, auto body, auto places to get an oil change. And the guys at the oil change place, the auto body place, yep, remember Alicia has an arsenal. Hi Denise, good to see you. Now, in comes the third witness in this case, and his name is Michael Pace, Pace. He's talking to one of the other attendant guys at the oil change place, and they're talking about, yeah, that girl's kind of cute. Hey, her mom was cute too. You remember who her mom was? Her mom was that Dana Satterfield. And Michael Pace is like, oh crap. And it really made him feel bad seeing her, seeing that this was Dana's daughter. And he decided he really had to come forward again. And I say again because he had actually called into the police department, the hotline number, all that stuff. He had called several times and tried to give them tips. And because he wouldn't come forward and he wouldn't show them who he was to where he could be a viable witness, they could not go on something like that. They needed him to come forward and be face forward so he could be a witness. And after seeing Ashley, he decided to do that. That's when he met with the investigators, and they said, you really, you need, we need you, we really need you. And he decided to come forward and actually be a witness, and he got on the stand during the trial. Hey Shad, is Shad here? Oh, there you are. Hi, how are you tonight? So here is what he tells everybody, okay? Here's his story. Michael Pace says that he had his best friend at the time that this happened was Jonathan Vick, the same one whose blue and white Bronco they tried to pull him in on the blue and white Bronco, and everybody kept telling, and the mom had this poster, it's not the vehicle. Well, guess what? That's the vehicle that Michael Pace was riding in that night with Michael Vick. He was taking him home after a football thing and then a party that they had been to. And on the way, they were driving in that neighborhood. And Michael Pace says that Jonathan Vick told him, "Hey, I'm going to go get a haircut tonight. And that Dana gal, she is hot, and I can get a date with her." And Michael Pace says, "Dude, she's older than you," because he was 17 at the time and she was 27. And he's like, "She's not going to have anything to do with you." And he got really, really mad, really mad. And he made him promise that he would not say anything. Well, this was after he made him promise. He was afraid of him, that he would not tell anyone that he had gone over there. And so the reason he didn't come forward is he was scared of Jonathan Vick. Hey, Deneen. Now, I want to show you, many of you may know the prosecutor in this case. Okay? Does anybody have any idea who the prosecutor was? Oh, that's right. I got to go down here. Yeah, that was Sweet Cerberus. You get to see him whenever I take my hands out. This is Trey Gowdy's page on the internet. Trey Gowdy was the prosecutor. He is from Spartanburg and grew up in that area. He was born in Greenville, South Carolina. He grew up in Spartanburg. He is the son of Hal and Novaline Gowdy. He has 3 sisters. He graduated from Spartanburg High School, the same high school where Jonathan Vick went to school. He went to Baylor in 1986 with a degree in history and went to law school in South Carolina. He was a federal prosecutor, narcotics, bank robbery, carjacking, kidnapping, CP, and the murder of federal witness. He was awarded the Postal Inspector's Award for successful prosecution of J. Mark Allen, who was one of America's most wanted. In 2000, he left the U.S. Attorney's Office to run for 7th Circuit Solicitor District Attorney. He led an office of 25 attorneys and 65. There's a whole thing. Y'all can go to his page and look at all his wife is a teacher. He was also, if you remember, in the political arena. So some of you may remember him. He was on the board that questioned Hillary Clinton. Now, we're not going to get into politics, but this is the Trey Gowdy that I'm talking about. And he was on several episodes of Forensic Files. Several episodes. Yeah, I had no idea, really, until I looked at that. His biography is really something. Y'all should go over and take a look. But he was on several episodes of Forensic Files. I remember having seen him. I'd have to go back and look up the cases that he appeared on the show, but I know of 2 or 3 at least. Because there's like 30 seasons, right? Or more. I'm not even sure how many seasons there are of Forensic Files, which brings me to the other question I was going to ask you guys. So if you do read the crime books, what format do you read it in? Do you read paperback? Do you read an ebook? Do you listen to, saw some people saying that they listen to the audiobooks, or do you do all of them? If y'all would put in there, I'd love to hear what format that you guys like to read your books. I love the audiobooks, but recently I've been trying harder to actually do some book reading to strengthen my brain, right? Kindle. I've got lots of stuff on Kindle now that I can dig into. Now the name of the episode, again, I told you guys that was season 12, episode 24, and the name of that episode was called Driven to Silence. There's also a In Cold Blood was another one. There's been several. They get picked up and reproduced on other shows also. So there's been several shows on this case. Now, Michael Pace provided enough evidence that they were able to pick up Jonathan Vick and force him to give his DNA. And that was the real thing. If he had not come face forward to be a witness, they would not have been able to force the DNA. Once they got the DNA, they were able to match it to genetic evidence that was on the scene. They said that knowing that he was he knew all along that he was, of course, he did it. So he knew all along he was a suspect. He changed his address several times so that they would not find him. He did not want the police to catch up with him. So he was attempting to move around so they could not find him. Split the yarn there. At the time that Jonathan Vick was arrested, he was married, had children, and had already had quite the criminal record. He had several arrests on his record. Domestic violence, big surprise. Theft, vandalism. He would bully his coworkers and then get fired from his job. And during the time that they picked him up, he had a girlfriend that was missing. Now, this was interesting because that added a whole nother layer of what the heck during all of this time that he was arrested. However, she's fine and she has been found. Let me show you. I found something on that too. This is the girl that was missing. Look at all the windows I had open. The girl that was missing, this is her mother. The girl's name was Michelle Whitaker. And that is her mother. And Michelle had gone missing. She was gone for 6 years before that. She probably was hiding from him, Denise. She went missing in 2002. It says a former missing person case in Spartanburg featured an upcoming episode of Gone on the ID network. Michelle Whitaker disappeared in 2002 without any clues to her whereabouts. Then, on the 6th anniversary of her disappearance, she was found alive. She has since returned to the area and is living a productive life, said her mother. The episode highlights Andrew's efforts to find answers. An argument between her mother and daughter about Whitaker's rebellious behavior prompted her to leave, according to a statement from ID. Andrew said by phone this week, that sometimes she would not speak to me for days and then she just quit talking altogether. After she reappeared, the mother said she showed her news coverage and newspaper clippings about the case so her daughter would see that people really did care about her. And the former Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office Detective Alan Wood, who oversaw the case from the start, said after Whitaker left South Carolina, she ended up in Oregon, where she became a live-in nanny for someone she had met while traveling. I have pictures. Hold on. I got pictures. Just in case you're wondering what this one would look like. There she is. So that's Michelle Whitaker. And that right there, that's where she was reunited with her family. So she's okay. But I would not doubt that, Denise, that she actually was hiding from him. Hey, Mo. Audible and Libby. Yes, I know. That's me. I really like to knit and listen to Audible. Okay, now here are the charges: murder, kidnapping, and criminal sexual assault. The evidence they had was the DNA, they had those witnesses, and they had him actually confessing to someone that he was in jail with. So it was South Carolina, Spartanburg County, South Carolina. I know, 6 years. It would have been awful, wouldn't it? It would have been just awful. Now, Vic was convicted of murder, but because he was, listen to this, you guys, because he was 17 at the time of the murder, they could not give him the death penalty. So he received life sentence. I did not know it was like a retroactive thing with his age. But I guess that's how it works. It's the age of when at the time that the crime happens. Very interesting. Now we move forward to Ashley, okay? Because I really want to give you some of Ashley's um, story. That's okay. No, she was a girlfriend after he and his wife split up. Oh, yeah, real treasure. I was thinking that too. She wasn't blonde, but she definitely, I think she was before the wife, Alicia, if I'm not mistaken. The laws that are in place at the time are what applies. Yeah, I guess it just it didn't, click with me that that's how it was going to work. Chelsea has scored me some very good community coffee, I must tell you. Quite excited. Okay, let's talk about Ashley, because Ashley has made her life an actual out and out turnaround story and has become such an absolutely wonderful person. She is married. She has, and I did not find anything on the son. She runs a program for victims in Spartanburg County. She's a victims advocate. She makes herself available all hours of the day and night for victims of crime. She, anyone who needs to talk because of what they're going through. She attends bond hearings. She encourages people to write victims' statements for the hearings, for the sentencing hearings, and helps them through that. She can't help them write it, but she helps them through it. Her program at the jail is meant to make the inmates understand what their impact is on the families and of the victims that they have hurt. And just like her mom, she's not a hairdresser, but she's an entrepreneur and she has her own business. She is a photographer and owns a photography business when she's not doing all this other stuff. Now, I want to say that I have something on that. Let me take a look here. Hold, please. I think I had something on Ashley, but I'm not sure. Let me look again. No. Unless it is. No, I don't. That's okay. I don't know the name of the program. That's what I was going to try to find for you. You may have to refresh, Knitting Artisan. I don't know. Maybe you have to refresh. It depends on the state, actually. Some states do have death penalty at 17, but others do not. It just kind of depends on the state. You gonna sound like a chipmunk? Now, Mr. Vick has not been the ideal inmate, as you all can guess. That this is not, he boo-hooed and bawled at the oh, somebody else did it. He's always said that somebody else did it. And the defense did try to go with that, which I'm going to say, I thought of our dear friend Ed over at Duty Ron's channel, Ed Wallace, the forensic guy, because you know what? Good luck in a beauty shop trying to blame it on somebody else. Yeah, somehow I think that what you did to her, Mr. Vick, probably every other person who came in and got a haircut did not do. Okay? Let's just start with that. He has received 3 more years for threatening a corrections officer. He's had to spend 6 months in isolation, which they call a special management area, for attacking a fellow inmate. He will be eligible for a review in 2035. And I know Ashley will be there. Now, anybody have any questions? Because the next part of this is my telling you my experiences with my own beauty shop. Yeah, they planted his DNA with a turkey baster right in the right spot. Mm-hmm. It will, but you know what? It seems like he's only thinking about how he wants to get out. Mm-hmm. How old is it? Well, at the time he was 17, and that was in 95. So 2005 he would be 27, which would be the age that she would have been when she died. And then 2015, that would make him 37, right? +15, so 2020 would make him 42. I think they said he's like 48 now, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what they said. Don't quote me. Well, he didn't get it without parole because he's going to be going up on for against the review, the parole review. Yes, it was the same night. It was the same night. And he made that friend promise to tell nobody that he had been there. That's quite that's a vision right there. Speaking of eyeballs. Gosh. Exactly. That's exactly Chelsea. Yes. Someone has gone to the point of murder, they're devoid of empathy and likely have antisocial personality disorder. In other words, they aren't going to show remorse. And that's what we see a lot. Yeah, isn't that funny? Her eyeball comment. So let's start with some of my stories. Now, I I sat down and I thought about this, and I honestly I I cannot think of brushes with uh, anyone before I moved here, and maybe that's just me only remembering more recent things. Okay, but I could tell you a few that happened to me here. And one of the first one I remember was a guy who came in with a leg monitor on, and he told me he had a leg monitor, and I I had seen him around town. I knew who he was, um, and I knew who his ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, whatever that situation was. I knew who she was, and I knew that they had children. Um, and he asked me to cut his hair, and I actually cut his hair more than once, and he was perfectly fine. Treated me just fine. I didn't have any at the time. Was not. I don't feel that I was felt threatened or anything like that. He was on parole, and the reason he had the monitor on, at least this is what he told me, was that he had been drinking, and it was a violation of his parole, and that's why he had gone back in. So when they released him, they put a monitor on him. I kind of think they don't do that for drunk driving kind of stuff. What do y'all think? I think there might have been some assault stuff between him and the girl, you know, looking back. But at the time, I wasn't looking at that. I wasn't thinking about it. Yes, I was alone with him. The second one, and that one, by the way, one of the reasons I knew who he was because he had been here when he was younger on this property, before, well, long before me. As a child, he'd come out here with his brothers. He was one of several brothers that came out here to go fishing in our pond when they were younger. That was done by Mr. Fiber's grandfather. Would not have been while I was here, but yeah. Then there was a man that was on parole, and I'm pretty sure it was assault. Uh, he made it sound like it was nothing, just little, she didn't like me. I didn't pay her the child support, um, blah blah blah, kind of thing. And he was living with his sister, who was a customer of mine. So, um, you know, again, I didn't feel threatened by him or anything like that. I look back on these now and I'm like, what was I thinking? Really? What was I thinking? So my only oh yeah, it was nothing. I know, funny story. Oh, I have lots of funny stories from the shop. I do. uh, had a woman come in, and I had been doing her hair quite a bit. This one really blew me away, okay? She tells me that her husband has sexually assaulted her children. She does not turn him in. The daughter has told her. She believes the daughter. She's still with him. She decides to stay, and she's still with him. This blew me away. The only thing I could do after that was, we're just not going to talk about that. Yeah. I know we had lots of I found my sign, Chelsea. I've got to get it out and put it somewhere. I'm probably going to put it back here behind me. I found it. I had another one. We had an illegal alien here in town. Not an immigrant, an illegal. Okay. He came to get a haircut. Now, part of this is funny because I leaned over to get something. I actually, what I leaned over to get, I leaned over to get a book, which was a Spanish English book, to see if I couldn't figure out what the hell kind of haircut he wanted, because we were having no luck in that regard. And somehow my shirt was just short enough that it slipped up and he could see my tramp stamp, okay, my tattoo, you know. And I really think that's where things went wrong, because a little bit later I had cut his hair and all this stuff, you know, and he came over. I was washing my hands at the sink, and somehow I think that he wanted something a little bit more than a haircut, using the hand gestures he was using. If y'all can imagine the hand gestures, you know? Yeah. Hi, Lori. I know Shad was a hairdresser too, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Lots. I'm sure you have stories too. A duty to report. See, that it was really hard because as a hairdresser, no. Right? Right? I'm like, yeah, no, no, you can leave now. We're both leaving this building now. Let's go outside. Yeah, that was fun. I had to call Mr. Fiber one day and have him come, and and just so you guys know, at the time that some of this stuff happened, the property where my beauty shop sat, over to the back of that property was a little house. And Mr. Fiber had his computer business in there. So most of the time we were both on the property at the same time. So he would have been right behind me. I could have called him at any time to come over. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't in the same building. It was behind me, but we were actually on the same property. Yeah. Yeah. I think that set him off. I really do. Uh-huh. You remember that? What does that mean, Sharon? Because I don't know. I don't know that one. Okay. So I called Mr. Fiber one time. This was when my building was in a different place. It used to be downtown, which is 2 blocks, y'all. The town is 2 blocks. Anyway, it was downtown. And I had a lady that was working, the lady I bought my shop from. And this girl had come to me before I bought the shop. and I had cut her hair. Well, I couldn't get her in, and she went ahead and let this other lady cut her hair, who was a barber. And she told her what she wanted, and she had thought that she could trust her because she could trust me. Oops. And the lady cut way too much hair off. Come to find out that this lady's husband was ornery, if you know what I mean by ornery, and was going to be really, really mad about her haircut. And I was really kind of worried that I called Mr. Fiber and said, I'd like for you to come up here because I think we may have a problem later. If this guy comes up here mad about this haircut, we're going to have issues. So he came up and sat with us for the rest of the evening so that if this guy came up there, he would be the presence around there. I mean, and this guy went to jail later for domestic violence. So we were on the right track on that one for sure. Oh, vamos. Yeah, vamos, go. Yeah, exactly. I didn't have that Spanish book out when I didn't know what to say. I have one more here, guys. One more. So I had, and I think I told you guys this one day, but I had the son of one of my customers. She has two sons, and one of them is very weird, and I always saw him as very weird. Never really had much to do with him. The other one uh, was somebody that I knew from around town. I had cut his hair in my shop, and um, he was selling boiled peanuts to make some money, and he came out, and he sat down on the couch and he talked, and it was pretty quiet. Looking back, there was a lot of behavior there. I could look now. I remember how he sat, and I remember how he acted, and thought, this guy was really, really weird. And so we just kind of chit chatted, and he sold us the boiled peanuts, and then and he left. Well, he's one of the ones I found out recently was a sexual predator. So that's 6 episodes, you guys, if you were counting, just in 15 years here that I can think of right off the top of my head. And I have been a hairdresser for 35 years. There's probably more if I sat down and thought about it. Um, there's also, I didn't pull it up, but there's a lot of data related to beauty shops and barber shops and all that kind of stuff. And part of the reason that a lot of people wind up being hurt in those places is because they are typically a cash business. Yeah, you were 35 years too. Thank you. Me too. I've got Mr. Fiber. I got, yeah, it's all good. Arrested afterwards. And you guys, if you don't know, Sharon is going to be my guest next week. So you need to be watching for when I get that put up, because I'm going to be having Sharon on to talk about her story. So y'all be watching for that. And also, I wanted to be sure and tell you all talk about funny stories, but um, gosh, there's so many. I don't know where to begin. But tomorrow morning, we are going to, after this one, I will put up the live, and it'll be at 7:15 in the morning, just like on Mondays. And tomorrow is about good news. So if you have any good news that you would like me to share, can you please send it to my email, fiberflooziecrafts@gmail.com, and come tomorrow morning and tell everybody your good news, because that's what we want to do tomorrow. Tomorrow we want to do good news. I know, Shad, you could write a book, couldn't you? I probably could write a book too. I thought I was going to get through this. I still haven't. It's a long way across, you guys. But you see how it's looking with that? You like that idea, Karen? You're a living book. Yeah. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this evening. I would also like to remind you that I am not an expert on any of this stuff. I'm not an expert in investigative work, or I'm just an enthusiast just like everybody else that also likes to knit and crochet. I get my information mostly from newspaper articles, the internet, stories, things that I watch, books, that kind of thing. So, okay, that is okay. If you can't join me in the morning, that's certainly okay. You can always watch it on the replay. You're welcome, Karen. You're welcome. I'm working on one for next Friday. I believe I know what I'm going to do for next Friday. It's 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 heartbreak. It's a heartbreaking one. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy, but I'm working on that one for next week already. So I'm trying to get all of my ducks in a row towards the first of the or the end of the week and the first of the week so that everything is ready to go for you guys. So I am starting to nail down more of a schedule here, and I hope you guys will like it. Yes, coffee does help. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I will try to come up with some funny stories by tomorrow. How's that? I'll try to put a two or three of them together for tomorrow's good news. Ah, wow, Mo, that's cool. I sure am. Do you guys want to hear my schedule? You want to hear a little preview of what the schedule is going to be from now on? I will go ahead and tell you. I'll talk more about it. Monday mornings are going to be where we talk more about like the updates and stuff. But briefly, Monday morning will be the 7:15 in the morning, and it will be the updates. On Tuesdays is going to be the roundtable, and that will be talking about the personal safety, the situational awareness, the hard and soft targets, and all that kind of things. And then on Wednesday, I'll probably be putting out a short of some sort or a vlog on those days. And then on and show me your sloths. Is that what you're saying? And then on Thursdays will be the sit and knit, where I sit and talk to you. And that way you can listen and not have to look at what I'm doing. A lot like this too, but the sit and knit will be, which will be pre-recorded. Hi, Lori. Okay. All right. I will try to share it for you tomorrow. I will check it out. Thank you. And then Friday will be the Stitch and Crime. And then on Saturday morning we'll be at 7:15 in the morning. Again, tomorrow morning will be 7:15, and that'll be the good news. So that's the schedule. And I'm going to try to stick to it. It will be changing a little bit here and there whenever I go to my dad's or I go to spend, time with one of my girls or something like that. I will be able to get the lives in, may not be able to make all the things in that schedule. So just be aware that if that happens, then I may not get every one of them. But oh, on my jammies. Okay, hold on. Oh, I don't know if y'all will be able to see them. Did get my leg up there. Nope, you can't see them. Hold on. There they are. There's the sloths on my jammies. Oh my gosh, you got me to do it again. I'll be sore for a week now on that side. Okay, you guys, have a great night. I love y'all, and I'll see you later. And have fun today. Bye, everybody. Oh, I love you, Chelsea. I love you, Carrie. I love you, Solomon. I love you, Oliver. I love you, Sailor. I love you, Cerberus. You ready to go outside? Cerberus needs to go outside now. Bye, everybody.